These are sago pups that are about 2 years old now. I just probably not going to plant them anywhere, and I'll probably end up giving these plants away. So if anybody lives close by and you want some, come get them. That's a rosemary I started last year. And these are snapdragons. And there's a rosemary and another thyme plant in there. But these plants have kind of struggled through, and they've continued since last year. I had to pull them inside during that real cold snap we had. But anyway, they're blooming now, and they look good. They're pretty blossoms, and lots more coming. So they seem like they're all the same color, which is weird, but I think this one might be white ones, so we'll see how they turn out. So anyway, those are just kind of limping along, keeping them alive. This is a rosemary plant that I need to find a permanent spot for, or when we move, which we're going to eventually, I might bring it with us and plant it in the new place. Let's go into the big garden, see what's going on in there. So yesterday, I drove some stakes in the big cedar log garden, and I'm setting up some trellises because I have a lot of tomatoes going this year. And the indeterminate ones are going to need to be strung up to a trellis because they get huge. But first, before we look at that, let's look at some of the potted plants. This is a 10-gallon smart pot, basically. It's not the actual smart pot, but fabric pot. It works pretty good here. And that's got some parsley in it that we plant for the benefit of the butterflies. Although I did use some parsley yesterday making dinner. This is some carrots. This is a variety of different color carrots. I believe there's white and yellow and orange and red and maybe some purple carrots, can't remember. And here's a pot of spinach. These are just getting to where I could probably do the first harvest on them anytime now. And these are some lettuce plants. These will be done pretty soon, and these planters are going to have, like one of them I'm going to put serrano peppers, and one I'm going to put jalapeno peppers in. Another pot of parsley, some more lettuce. This is a red romaine, and then there's one red something or other. I forget what the name of it is. Actually, there's two of them. There's a little one too. But anyway, that's good stuff that we'll use to make salads with. And I have 2 pots of radishes here that are just about done. And so I planted some squash in these pots, knowing that the radishes are going to be done. There's one. So far we have one seedling that came up. They take a long time, it seems like. This is one's zucchini and one's yellow summer squash. So we'll see what happens with them. And this is another pot of those varieties of carrots. So they're going along pretty good. We'll get some carrots out of that. And so I just want to step back for a minute here and show you our shade cloth. This is what we put up yesterday after putting these trellises in. When I did this before, I did it differently. I put these trellises in, and it's got a PVC top on it, so that shade cloth rests on the PVC. And so as the wind kind of whips it around when the weather gets hard, we're going to have a support that won't tear the shade cloth, hopefully. And so we'll see how that goes. We have a lot of crane flies this year. They're everywhere. And so, yeah, and we just tie it off to the fence. This is like a rope, just a regular rope that's 100 feet long. So it goes all the way around the perimeter, and then it ties off to different corners of the fence. And I actually these are the posts that I put in yesterday. they were predicting a possible hailstorm last night, so all these plants here were covered up with buckets and laundry baskets and whatever we could find to cover them up with. 5-gallon buckets to prevent them from getting destroyed in the hailstorm. So it didn't hail, so it ended up not being needed, but yeah, you never be too careful. I've seen a lot of hailstorms destroy a lot of my stuff, so cars, house. But anyway, these went in, and those, I ordered another shade cloth that's going to go over these. The sun is very intense here, even in the spring, so we're going to have some shaded areas for these plants to grow, and see if that gives me a little bit better production than without shade. This is a compost. I mentioned that I bought a load of compost, which is, I mean, that much right there would be like 3 bags you bought at Lowe's, it'd be like $30, and I got like a load that you could get 6 wheelbarrows full for $25. You just need a truck. So this is where I'm going to plant some more sunflowers here too. I'm going to have to amend this soil. I already tilled it a little bit, and I have it covered up to keep the dogs from stepping on it and the squirrels from getting the seedlings. So I'll have to protect those pretty well this year, because last year I had squirrels tearing my stuff up. And this is a cucumber bed. These are a new variety named Ashley that I'm growing, and there's a whole bunch of crane flies inside there. I'll let them out in a little while. But we've gotten good germination on this, and they're starting to take off. I have them covered up because the wrens like to get in there and eat the seedlings when they're small. So I gotta let them get big enough to where they can't do that. There's some pea plants back there too, but they're not growing very well. Same as the other side. Peas just don't do well here. So anyway, this is my onion bed. Talked about that before. We've got some leeks on that end, and then there's some shallots in the middle. This is the shallot plant right here, and then there's a row of shallots. It's kind of, some of them are laying over sideways. Some people say to trim your onions, but I don't. That doesn't make common sense to me, to trim something. If you have, that's like taking the motor out of your car to make it go faster because it's lighter, right? You're having photosynthesis happen there. If you cut leaves off it, you have less photosynthesis. Give me a comment, tell me if I'm wrong about that, but I think I'm right. Cilantro plant in the middle, it's starting to bolt. So cilantro doesn't like heat. Well, it does, it bolts, it makes seeds. So, and I usually collect those seeds too. That's where the seeds for that one came from. Then on this end here, these are Texas 1015 onions. Actually, I thought they were purple onions, but I must have got my seed packets mixed up because they're not purple. There's a nice dill plant here, and these are my leftover seedlings, which is sad for me because they're beautiful and I don't have anywhere to put them. So anyway, that's that. Over here we have another, this is a little grate, it's like a fire grate that I use to protect these seedlings. Those two there look a little sad, but hopefully they're going to recover. These are national pickling cucumbers, so we're going to make some pickles. Okay, and then we have the other tub. This is the tub I pulled out of the bathroom I remodeled last year. And same thing here, I have these covered up to keep the wrens from destroying the seedlings. So everything's looking good in there. I'm gonna pull this back because there's a bunch of, look at all those crane flies. Some people think crane flies eat mosquitoes, but that's just a wives' tale. They do not. They don't have mouth parts. They don't eat anything. They're only here for the breeding. Anyway, here is the cucumbers. Got to thin some of these out. That's a late germinator there. And I've tried peas in here too. Peas just, they make little plants, but they don't make any peas, so it's frustrating, but that's the way it is. So that thing just doesn't want to stay where I put it. Frustrating. Okay, so that's open now. Anyway, I'm gonna let those breathe a little better. That stuff actually does hold moisture in on the plant, so I don't really like having it on there, but it's a necessity. All right, and then let's look at raised bed number 2. Here we have I'm staging some pots in here because I'm not sure where I want to plant everything yet. But those are tomatoes. I already did a video on that. Those tomatoes have been in there for a week. And they're doing good. And I spread about probably 1.5 inches of compost on this bed, which before I plant peppers, I'm gonna till in a little bit. And these are beets here and over there. And we make some pickled beets that are really good. So. And there we haven't decided what we're gonna put in there yet. Probably a pepper plant. That's a bell pepper plant right there that's looking pretty good. And there's some banana peppers and more bell peppers and jalapenos and serranos and Anaheim chilies. And some New Mexico chilies. And a new variety. Actually, that's in a different bed. So, main thing I wanted to show you was the shade cloth. That's kind of what this video is about. But over here, I've already done a video about this. These are the 3 BHN 589, which is a tomato variety that puts a lot of nice tomatoes on it. And I also put the compost in that here, and there's some more staged peppers. There's some anchos in there, and a new variety called Bajío Paseo. I think that's how you say it. It's a Mexican chili pepper. It's supposed to be in the mid to spicy type, kind of a narrow, long, skinny pepper. So I've never grown those before. We'll see how they do. And I have my bunching onions, and there's a golden nugget there on the end. And okay, so this is raised bed number 3. So there's how the garden's looking. So hope you enjoyed that. Really did a lot of work on the garden this year, and it's looking good. I haven't killed too many plants yet this year. So it's kind of a patchwork, and you know, we've gotten a lot of food out of this little garden area, and it's going to be a little bit sad when I leave because I put a lot of work into this, but it'll also be fun to start a new garden somewhere else.